For Greg Foster, these trials mark what is likely his last opportunity at an Olympic gold medal, the one great achievement that has eluded him through an otherwise illustrious career. Last year in Tokyo, he won his third world championship in the 110 hurdles, but the Olympic Games haven't been nearly as kind to him. In 1988, he struggled through the trials, running in spite of a broken arm. He failed to make the team that went to Seoul. 4 years earlier, at the Los Angeles Olympics, he was favored to take the gold, but was beaten at the wire by a relative unknown, Roger Kingdom, kindling a rivalry that's been marked by its intensity, but also by deep respect.
We battled a lot, so we drew that camaraderie, okay, where we can compete against each other, but then speak off the field. I mean, at times, you know, he had words for me, but that's all about competition, okay? If you never had any kind of friction or never had any kind of statement to make toward your opponent, then what's the use of competing? It's just like my brother. I do not want to lose to my brothers. I don't care what we're doing. But then when it comes to playing against somebody else, I'm always in his corner, always on his side. So I guess that's the way it was for me and Greg.
In contrast to Foster, the Olympics have been a stage for Kingdom's greatest moments. In '88, he won his second straight gold, something only one hurdler, Lee Calhoun, had done before in the 110-meter event. But in the last year and a half, he's undergone knee surgery twice. That and a recent hamstring injury have threatened to end his chances at an unprecedented third straight gold medal.
A lot of the times, you know, when you get an injury, you tend to perform better because you get your back up against the wall. You have to perform well. You have to, so to speak, will yourself back. And that's what I do most of the time.
Kingdom, who lives near Pittsburgh with his fiancée Joy Shepard and their daughter Giera, seems determined to make those doubting his chances regret that skepticism.
I think the more that you try to tell Roger that he can't do something, more determined he is to do it. He's always been that way. I think actually that's a mark of any good athlete, to be able to take something negative and turn it into a positive.
You can rest assured with something as strong as being the first person ever to win 3 consecutive gold medals on the line. Hey, you better not rule me out. It's not over until the fat lady sings. And I definitely don't hear her, and I don't think I'm deaf.
And there is Roger Kingdom warming up just moments before his semifinal. We'll see him run after these messages from your local station.
Now the men's 110-meter hurdles. The world and American record holder is Roger Kingdom. And Roger Kingdom is in this first semifinal. Kingdom, the 2-time Olympic champion. He's told us it'll take a wing and a prayer to make it to the final. He is recovering from knee surgery, and both his hamstrings have been hurting during this competition.
And he told me it would be a miracle. I guess a wing and a prayer equals a miracle. He's wearing a pin that's hard to see. There it is on the right of his number. It's a pin of an angel. He last wore that in the '89 season when he set the world record and won the World Cup in Barcelona.
Kingdom's chief competition would figure to come from Jack Pierce. Pierce was silver medalist at the World Championships in Tokyo last summer.
And Pierce's roommate in Tokyo, Dan O'Brien, he will hope not to have the same sort of luck Dan had today. But Pierce looked very good in winning his first round race yesterday.
And here are the lane assignments for the men's 110-meter hurdle first semifinal. The top 4 will advance to tomorrow's final.
Keep your eye on lane 3, Mark Crear, the NCAA champion.
He's from Southern Cal, and he beat Arthur Blake and Roger Kingdom to win the second quarterfinal in 13.55.
He, too, battling a strained hamstring, told me the track was very springy and spongy and requires an adjustment from a hurdler as they come off the hurdles. Roger Kingdom has an entire medical staff down here working on his hamstrings. That's what's been holding him back. He says he's 3 weeks behind in his training.
And a false start in the first semifinal, the men's 110-meter hurdles. Talking about the injury woes of Roger Kingdom. It's not unprecedented, though, that he can come back from those injuries. In fact, in '84 and '88, on his way to Olympic gold medals, he was able to shake off injury.
You can be sure none of the other competitors are taking him lightly, even though his season has very few good performances. to point to. Crear in lane 3 was charged with the false start. One of the hard things for this comeback, though, as we look at Crear for Roger Kingdom, is he has no more cartilage in his right knee. When he bangs that leg on the hurdle, it's bone on bone. He says that really hurts.
What does he have to prove at this point? Why go through the agony of overcoming those injuries to be here to try to qualify again?
He wants to be the first man ever to win 3 gold medals in the hurdles in the Olympics. No one's ever done that.
The American hurdling contingent, deep and talented. And another false start.
You see a few mind games going on. Hurdling, it does make a difference. If you can be the first one to the first hurdle, that puts pressure on the other guys. They might strain a little bit and start to hit hurdles. Also, there's certainly some people, including lane 8 Tonie Campbell, who hasn't been running that well this year, who really feel they're going to need a flyer if they're going to have any chance to get into the final.
Tonie Campbell in the outside lane. Lane 8 did win a bronze medal in this event in Seoul, 1988.
And back in 1984 as well, 2-time Olympic medalist. A good veteran there. Roger Kingdom says watch his first 3 hurdles. If he can effect a good clearance of those first 3 hurdles, that sets him up for the rest of his race.
Well, we'll watch for it here and see if we can get a fair start underway after 2 false starts, one by Mark Crear, one by Tonie Campbell. This is a fair start, and Kingdom right with the pack as he takes that first, second, and third hurdles. Evenly matched field. Kingdom is there. Crear is there. Pierce on the outside. Pierce with a short lead. Kingdom is second, and Terry.
An excellent win for Jack Pierce, who told me that any small mistake could result in any of the top hurdlers not making the team. But I think more importantly, Roger Kingdom made an excellent adjustment in this race, and he was in it the whole way. There you see him in lane 4 doing well. He didn't run well off the last hurdle. It was Pierce that ran away in the latter stages of the race. But most importantly, watch Roger Kingdom. He smashes this first hurdle. Remember, he's the one that said he needs to be good over the first 3, knocks the second one and the third, hits the fourth, but he's still leading the race at this point. Nobody else can do this. He's so much stronger than the other hurdler that he can adjust to anything, even slightly running out of his lane there. He hit 8 of the 10 hurdles and still finished second, running close to his best time of the year.
So here are the unofficial results. Jack Pierce leading the qualifiers from this semifinal into tomorrow's final event. Roger Kingdom second. Glenn Terry, the Big Ten champion from Indiana, third. And Jerry Roney from James Madison University, the 4th qualifier from this first semifinal. All right, Dwight, coming up next, the second semifinal of the men's 110-meter hurdles featuring world champion Greg Foster. Coach, the late Tad Gormley. The stadium built in 1935 and renovated for these trials at a cost of over $7 million. Here's Greg Foster in the second semifinal, 3-time world champion.
He's the blue-collar guy at this event. He turns it into a 9-to-5 job, goes out to the track a couple times a day, stretching drills, strides, sprints, and weightlifting.
And the hot sprinter of the year so far, Tony Dees.
And he is the sprinter hurdler, sort of like Gail Devers. He actually considered running the 100 meters. He's had the best times in the world this year in this event.
Lane 7 should have been Renaldo Nehemiah. The lane is empty. Nehemiah is a scratch, missing on his last chance for Olympic glory. He was one of the boycott members in 1980 and will scratch in his last chance, as you see the lane assignments.
He's battled injuries all spring, as has Greg Foster. Greg Foster has had a groin strain, and he told me that's from hurdling too much in practice. He's backed off his hurdling in practice to get ready for this meet.
And a false start.
Looks like Robert Redding in lane 2 came out a little quickly there.
Craig, why do we see so many false starts in the hurdling competition?
Well, again, I mentioned earlier that advantage to the first hurdle is all important. You want to be controlled recklessness to that first hurdle, because if you get out ahead, then the others are going to start thinking about you. Normally, you want to concentrate on your line of hurdles alone, not think about anybody to the left or the right. But if you send somebody out ahead of you, you might press a little bit.
You know, you mentioned the mind games, and my mind goes back to Tokyo last summer at the World Championships when Greg Foster was the recipient of some mind games, some psyching out, and then returned it in kind.
That's right. That was Tony Jarrett from England. Gave him a look after he beat Foster in the semifinal, and Foster claims he never saw it, but he ran with a vengeance in the final to win his 3rd straight World Championship. A lot of these guys feel that Tony Dees, in spite of the fact he's run so well this season, is fragile mentally, so they try to put the pressure on Dees at all times.
And it is Tony Dees over the first hurdle in front. Dees in lane 3. Dees and Foster. Tony Dees has the lead. Foster is second. And then it's Arthur Blake and Henry Andrade. Tony Dees glancing behind him as he leads the second semifinal across the tape. And Tony Dees remains the hottest hurdler of 1992 as he takes the measure of world champion Greg Foster in the second semifinal.
And don't think that look will be altogether ignored either. The man in black, Tony Dees, over on the right of the screen, he calls himself a roller coaster adventurer, looks for the most thrilling roller coaster rides around the country. And for this guy, hurdling is a thrill because he's so fast. Those hurdles rush up at him. He's got to quickly snap that leg down, get back into good running, and he coasts through, looking to see who else is behind him. 13:37 unofficially. Look at the strength and power of this man. His coach, Wilbur Ross, breaks his race down into 3 critical zones. He stresses the first few hurdles, says you should coast through the middle, and then he says, Tony, you've got to sprint over those last 3 hurdles. Really attack them. Normally, Dees has trouble over the last 3. This season, he seems to have that down.
And what about the old veteran, Greg Foster? How did he look?
He looked a little sluggish to me, and I think that would come from his lack of hurdling practice. Had a little trouble with some early hurdles hitting them. He wasn't quite as quick in between. 33 years old. He's told me you're supposed to be dead after you turn 30, but he feels he's as good as ever, and he wants that medal that he's never won in the Olympics. 3-time world champion, but never an Olympic gold. He did have a silver medal in 1984. Let's take a look at the results. 110-meter hurdles. Unofficially, Tony Dees. You might say he's obsessed with speed. He loves drag racing when he's not hurdling. Foster, Blake, and Andrade, the final qualifiers for the men's 110-meter hurdle final. And Todd Christensen is with Tony Dees.
Thank you very much, Tom. If this is any indication, it could be a new day in hurtling. Tony Dees has just dominated the event thus far. What's the difference between last year and this year? So far, it just looks like you're unbeatable.
Well, last year I was injured. Let the world know that because they figure I make mistakes at big meets. No, it's not like that. It's just that I was injured with a torn groin muscle last year. This year I'm healthy and I'm mentally prepared to run and hopefully make the team.
Everybody's been well aware of the fact that with your 10:15 speed, you've always been plenty fast enough to do the event, but it appears that clinically, you're a lot better over the hurdles this year.
Yes, I contribute that to my coach, Wilbur Ross, and Mrs. Norma Ross. They work with me day in, day out, stressing that I execute properly over the hurdle, and that way I can utilize my speed better.
Congratulations to you. Good luck in the final.
Thanks,
Tom?
We have 4 of the 5 fastest hurdlers of all time entered. Somebody's not going to go to Barcelona.
One of those guys isn't going to make it, and if you think that there have been 3 world championships and 2 Olympic games since 1983, we have the 2 guys that have won all those championships. Roger Kingdom won in 1984 and 1988 in the Olympics, and Greg Foster won the 3 world championships. And as you say, those 4 great hurdlers, one of them's going to stay home this summer.
Well, Greg Foster is one in the final. His spot in hurdling history is assured. He's 3-time world champion. Nothing left to prove but to himself. That's why he's still reaching for the one prize that has eluded him. If there were no Olympics, Greg Foster might be recognized as the greatest 110-meter hurdler of his day, if not all time. His accomplishments might come to mind quicker than his tragic misfortunes. Maybe we wouldn't talk about bad luck, bad timing. But the Olympics do exist, and no one knows that better than Greg Foster.
fortunately, I'm in good enough shape, and I won't be happy with a bronze, silver, or silver. I think I'll be definitely aiming for that gold this year.
Greg Foster has won every world championship in this event since the Worlds were first held in 1983. He was the gold medal favorite at the '84 Olympics, but wound up with the silver after leading through all 10 hurdles.
I kind of felt that there was a false start, and that kind of cost me my concentration, and it kind of just totally bombed me out of the race. And, by the time I felt like I was back in the race, it was too late. It was pretty much over.
But the hard times had just begun. 1 year later, Foster lost his mother, 3 family members, and a close friend in a car accident.
But I felt that there were certain things that I knew I could accomplish and that I wanted to accomplish for my mother. With her not being here, it was a little bit tougher, but it was still something I felt like I can do. So I used it to motivate me. I did everything I did from that point on was for her, in her honor, and it really, kept me going.
It kept him going through a second world championship in '87, and once again he entered an Olympic year as the favorite. But 6 weeks before the '88 Olympic trials, Foster broke his arm. Yet he went on to give us one of the most enduring images from any Olympic year. He still tried, but failed to make the team.
I don't feel like I'm snake bitten. I feel like I just had more downfalls than most people. I think you hear about mine a little bit more because they are so tragic.
Last year, Greg Foster won his 3rd world championship. In his trophy case, you'll find just about everything the sport has to offer, except an Olympic gold medal.
I've competed in the Olympic Games, 3 world championships, and a lot of other things. But because there are certain goals that I have not accomplished yet, that's what keeps me going. I still feel like I can accomplish them. They're not without my reach, not with, far away from my reach.
And there is Foster hoping to take this the next step toward a possible Olympic gold medal. The world and American record, Roger Kingdom. And Kingdom is also in this final. Roger Kingdom, the 2-time Olympic champion.
They took his knee apart last fall. They put it back together, and he's about 3 weeks behind in his training. It's a race against time for Roger Kingdom. If he makes the team, he has a shot at Olympic gold.
And challenging the 2 veterans, the youngster, he's been hot this year, Tonie Dees.
Tonie Dees calls himself a roller coaster adventurer, travels around the country looking for thrills on roller coasters. He's got a thrilling race ahead of him.
Here are the lane assignments. In the final, the men's 110-meter hurdles. Jack Pierce, second in the World Championships in lane 3 last year. Tonie Dees in 4, Foster 5. Roger Kingdom in lane 2. And Greg Foster, 3-time world champion.
Reviewing the race in his head, he's had a groin strain all season and hasn't raced very much. He needed the early rounds to get ready for this final.
False start. The runners will be called back. And we see this quite often in hurdle races, Craig, and you were remarking yesterday that perhaps it's because psychologically getting to the first hurdle is very important.
In a sprint race, a flat sprint race, getting a great start doesn't necessarily mean everything. We've seen Carl Lewis come on in the closing strides to catch the field even when he gets a bad start. But in the hurdles, you want to be one of the first people to that first hurdle because the other people will see you going over ahead, and that will make them press to try to catch up.
False start charged to Henry Andrade in lane 1.
Foster in lane 5 is often the one who false starts, sometimes to try to get away with a quick start, other times to throw the less experienced runners off of their game. He believes that if he can get out ahead of Tonie Dees in lane 4, Dees will fall apart.
Foster just to the left of your screen. Dees to his immediate left. And Tonie Dees over the first hurdle. Greg Foster is right there. So's Jack Pierce. It is Tonie Dees, Jack Pierce, Pierce has the lead. Dees, Foster, and Blake. And it will be Jack Pierce that wins the race.
And Roger Kingdom went down to the track, and it looked as if maybe Arthur Blake outleaned Greg Foster at the tape. So two of history's greatest hurdlers may not be on the U.S. Olympic team. Roger Kingdom, just not enough time to get ready. Jack Pierce, the man that people have been saying for a long time has the best form, finally may have realized his potential. Unofficially 13.13, a very quick time for this man, Jack Pierce.
Pierce lost a photo finish to Foster at the World Championships, running his lifetime best last summer.
You know, Fred Astaire said the skill lies in making it look easy. Look at the third man from the right of the screen. He looks so quick over the hurdles. Look at him snap those legs down, back onto the track, takes the lead around the midway of the race, and runs away from the rest of the field as over on the left, Kingdom goes down, and very close for third place. There you see Greg Foster on the left of the screen. That's Tonie Dees in the middle. And you're going to see Arthur Blake come up on the left. Pierce and Dees on the team. They're on the right of the screen. But watch the man in blue, Arthur Blake. He runs very quickly off that last hurdle, and I think he got it over Greg Foster. Watch Roger Kingdom. Just didn't have enough time to get ready to try to make his third Olympic team and win his third gold medal. Hitting every hurdle. He's the lumberjack of the hurdling event. He chops timber in every race, and normally he's strong enough to get away with that, but this season just not enough races to get ready. Here he comes up to the 9th, 10th hurdles where he hits them and then goes down.
So Roger Kingdom missing on a chance to win a third Olympic gold medal, failing to qualify for the U.S. team as we check the unofficial results. Jack Pierce the winner, Tonie Dees tasting defeat for the first time this year. Blake outleading Foster as the Olympic dreams of Foster again go up in smoke. Todd Christensen down on the track.
Well, we're here with Jack Pierce. You know, Jack, in the World Championships, you came within an eyelash of a world title. Is this a little redemption here?
Yeah, it's sweet victory. I mean, this is Olympic team. This is something much more prestigious. I was just glad to go in there feeling good and come out with the victory.
But of course, you know that in Barcelona you're not going to be able to sneak up on anybody because of the fact that now you have won the Olympic trials. People will be thinking about other people, not just Tonie Dees and some of the other people around the world, but now they'll be thinking about Jack Pierce.
Well, that's what I want. I tried to put a little bit of fear in some people's mind that I'm not just a silver medalist at World Championship, but I do have the capability of winning. And that's why I'm glad I won today.
Congratulations to you, Jack. Tom?
All right, Todd, these Olympic track and field trials continue to produce surprises and high drama. We'll have more in a moment.